Today, once again, we're going to be diving back into the wonderful world of Adventure Time, but not the colorful, goofy, friendly side that we all know and love. No, today we're going to be sculpting something a little bit darker, something a little bit more evil. So that's right, folks, today we're going to be sculpting one of the main antagonists of the show, the Lich. I always thought the Lich was such a cool character. He's not like normal villains. He's very like calm, collected, doesn't get angry, doesn't really joke around or anything like that. He's just, he's kind of there just ominously watching. Honestly, very reminiscent of Hannibal Lecter, just kind of always in control, this dominant presence of evil. I don't know, I just always appreciate a good villain. Anyway, now that we've established the main structure of his head, we are going to be making it look a little bit more like a skull. Went ahead and used a ball stylus just to kind of map out where his eye sockets are going to go, but for now we're going to pause there and move on to that little bone that goes on top of the nose. For this, I went ahead and took a small dank nug of clay that we're going to shape into this little pyramid shape. After making some precision slices, I could go ahead and take the back end of my X-Acto knife to give it a little bit more of a refined shape. I could then take this piece of clay, applying that between the eyes, then using a variety of different ball styluses, I go around it, blending everything into one solid form. And now that we have the nasal bone in place, we can go ahead and deepen those eye sockets a little bit more before building up his cheekbones. For this, I just rolled out a couple tapeworms of clay, tapering them down to one end, apply those underneath the eyes, and I just went around with a variety of different ball styluses, blending that in. Now it's time to make that nose hole a bit deeper, so we're going to use a very small ball stylus poking in that nose. Now that we've established his face orifice, we could go ahead and take that same ball stylus, adding these little grooves on the inside of the eye, really just to give it a little bit more of a visual interest. And now that we have his eye holes and nose hole complete, it's time to slide down the face and start working on his mouth hole. I use the back end of the blade of my X-Acto knife, kind of pencil in where the mouth is going to go, and then from there I could go ahead and start carving out to that smile. We're just going to be doing small chunks at a time here just to make sure we don't accidentally cut out too much. And then we could go in with this little zip popper tool to start giving the mouth a little bit more shape. It's funny, I own all these sculpting tools, but I refuse to use them. But now that we have the rough shape of the mouth, we could go in with this paintbrush dipped in some isopropyl alcohol to smooth out all of those tool marks. Now that we have everything all smoothed out, it's time to rough it up again by adding some gum detail. Use this silicone sculpting tool to give us a rough gum shape. And then from there, I could go ahead and take a small ball stylus, poking in these little holes. This is gonna give me a little spot for me to slide these little pre-baked teeth that I made off camera. Once I have all of his teeth in their location, we got ourselves a nice little skeleton smile here. Now I know he has some crusty, dusty lips and we are going to be adding those later, but I did want to add some detail underneath first. So I took this very small ball stylus, kind of adding this battered meat texture. We're going for that raw ground beef look. After that, I went ahead and took that same ball stylus, going across the face, adding little wrinkles and folds, trying to make the skin look a little bit more zombie-like. And now that we have his gums and skin all texturified, it's time to start adding those blown out lips. And to get that classic blown out lip look, we're going to be taking these little strips of clay, laying them on top of the mouth and just forming those into the face, making it look like his skin is rotting off. There was one time I was walking out of my room when I was younger and my little sister was standing there. We had a little stare down for about 5 seconds and then she hits me with "What are you looking at, dry lips?" and I haven't recovered since. Anyway, now that we have his blown out smile and skin all texturified, we can pop it in the oven. And now that we got the head back from the oven and looking all crispy, I waited until it fully cooled down before drilling a hole in the back of the head. This is so I can insert this piece of armature wire into the back. This is going to make it the main spine of the sculpture. I did give the body a little bit of an S-curve to give it a little bit more interest, and now we can start bulking it up. Now, since he is going to be such a large sculpture, I am going to be bulking most of it up with some tin foil. Now, normally I don't like to use foil to bulk things up just because it is a little bit harder for me to work with, but because he is quite large, this is going to be way more cost effective, and also it's going to cut down a lot of the weight. But now that we have the body all bulked up and wrapped nice and tight, we could go ahead and start adding some clay. I start things off by taking some Super Sculpey Ultralight, making these large flattened out strips, wrapping it around the body, just pressing it into the foil, making sure that we have everything covered. I don't think I show it, but I do take some chunks of clay, pressing those into those big old craters just to make the thing a little bit more even. But with a little bit of smoothing out, we do have a nice structure of the body that we could start to add some wrinkles to. So for this, I went ahead and took a ball stylus, and I'm just gonna be sliding this across the body, adding these little wrinkles that go across the front. And once I was happy with the in-wrinkling process, we could go ahead and start adding some texture. Now my favorite way to make fabric look like fabric is to actually use fabric. So I'm going to be wrapping this with a very textured piece of cloth. I can then take my hand and give it a vigorous rub down before peeling it off and then revealing a slight texture. And then it's off for another bake. Now that we have him back from the oven and we've saved our position, we can go ahead and start bulking out his shoulders. I take a few dang nugs of clay, smashing those onto the side of the body. I can then go and do a little bit of shaping and refining before popping off his head. This just makes it a little bit easier to access the clay underneath to blend it in. Once I was happy with how those shoulders were looking, we could go ahead and pause there, put the head back on, and then we could go ahead and start on his arms. I went ahead and cut out a couple pieces of armature wire that I bent into the shape that I was looking for. Once I was happy with the size and length, we could go ahead and stick those into the side of the arm. I am going to be having his arms a little bit longer. I feel like the long arm look, it just has a little bit of an unnatural feel. It just makes him a little bit creepier, I think. But now that we have his arms in their position, we could go ahead and start on his little hood, little cropped poncho, belly button poncho. Is there a name for this thing? Anyway, how I'm building this hood is I rolled out a flattened out piece of super sculpty firm. This is going to give me a little bit more control with actually forming the hood. And once I was happy with how the hood was looking, I could go ahead and crop that poncho. That sounds like something they would yell in a game show. Crop that poncho. Anyway, now that we have the bottom all cropped out, we could go in with these miniature tweezers and kind of just tear our way out the bottom. Do a little bit too much at the start, but I end up flattening it out. And we have this nice little torn look. As at this point I realized I actually should have made his arms first before adding his hood, so we're just gonna go ahead and pop these out real fast to actually start bulking those up. But now that the arms are off, we are gonna have a much easier time of actually making these arms. Now he has pretty interesting arms, like the front half is skeleton, so we are gonna be adding an extra piece of wire here, but we'll get into that later. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and start sleeving up the upper section of the arm, and if you've been here for a while, you already know what's up. We add the goop. You gotta goop it up, then you gotta wrap it up. Take the clay and you wrap it up. Go up and down, give it a little pitch and twist. Look at a little pinch and twist here, look at that. Look at that pinch and twist, okay. Anyway, now that we have the upper section of the arm all bulked up, we can actually start adding that extra bone in the forearm. For this, I'm just taking another piece of armature wire, sticking it into that clay. Once I was happy with the separation and position of those, I could add a little piece to the end, give it a little bit of hand detailing. Then we can move back up to the meaty section of the arm, adding some raw meat detailing just to make it look like the arms are actually rotting. And with that, we have one arm complete, so we could go ahead and stick that into the body. Once we have that into its proper position, we could go ahead and make the other arm off camera just to save a little bit of time. Then after a little bit of a hood refinement, we're gonna go actually back down to the forearm, and I am gonna be adding some liquid Sculpey to this. I think it's gonna make it a lot easier to apply paint. That way I'm not just trying to paint on a raw wire. But once I was done adding the goop, I went ahead and brushed it on just to make sure we didn't have any blank spots. We'll go ahead and pause there and work on his horns. For this, I start off with a nug of clay that I roll out into a tube shape and then start to taper it down on one end. This is going to help give us that signature horn look. Then after vigorously rubbing it out to get the thickness that I want, I give it a slice and a tickle. I then can start working on the other horn. Now his other horn is snapped off, so I am just going to be doing half of it. After a little bit of refinement, I do a quick little size check, and we got ourselves a couple of horns. Now to make our horns look more like horns instead of just rolled out pieces of clay, I am going to be giving them a twist, and once I was happy with the texturing of that twist, I can then make a much larger twist, flattening off one end, and then I could apply those to the side of the head. I went ahead and applied a little bit of liquid Sculpey to make sure they don't fall off in the oven. And then once we had those on, I do add a little bit more texture, and we could go ahead and pop it in the oven for another bake. But while he's in the oven baking off a few pounds, we could go ahead and start on his crown. For this, I took a flattened out strip of clay, wrapping it around this circle-shaped cookie cutter. I could then go in with my X-Acto knife, cutting in all those little pointy bits on the crown. I bet there's a name for those. But with his crown's pointy bits in place, I could go ahead and start adding a little bit more detail. After carving in that little logo in the front of his crown, I am going to be doing some artistic liberty and adding some more detail to the crown that's not actually there, and then we could go ahead and pop that in the oven. But as a few of you may have guessed, his horns did fall off in the oven. But that's okay, I'll just glue them on later. Another problem I had is the crown actually didn't fit his head, so I went ahead and cut off the back portion, that way it could fit on the front of the head, and then I'm just going to add a little piece of clay in the back. It's no big deal. We move on. Speaking of moving on, it's time to move on to his little fingies. Skelefingies, that is. To achieve the skelly fingies, I'm going to be rolling out these thin pieces of clay, slicing them to accurate finger length. And once I added an appropriate amount of fingers, we could go ahead and start adding his little bone finger detailing. I'll just take the back of my X-Acto knife, rolling it across the surface to add these little joints. I went ahead and did all the other ones off camera. We could go ahead and pop those in the oven. And while those are baking, we could go ahead and start working on those things that are wrapped around his arms. Now, I was debating back and forth, are they straps? Are they supposed to be tendons? I wasn't really sure, so we are gonna make them kind of like tendon-ish. Little tendons, I don't know. For this, I just rolled out a really thin snake of clay, and then I'm just gonna be wrapping it in between the little bones on the arm. There's really no method to the madness here. I'm kind of just trying to make it look like how it did in the cartoon. But now that his arms are all tendified, we could go ahead and start on his cloak. I went ahead and just pre-cut this shape off camera, and then we're just gonna be flapping on the back. I honestly should be using cause clay for this, because then it would be a lot more flexible and bendable, but I can't find the stuff anywhere. So I really should order some, but I'm just kind of lazy with it, I'm not gonna lie. So I just haven't done that yet. But with the cloak on the back, we can then add those little button things that hold the cloak on the front. Just using this little cylinder that had a small circle on the bottom that we're gonna go ahead and cookie cut those out. And then as for the little bones that go across, we're gonna just be rolling out a thin piece of clay, cutting those into thirds, and then making these little tiny bone shapes that I sculpt with this little sculpting tool. And with that, we have all of our little pieces made up, so we could go ahead and start assembling thus pieces. Now in the cartoon, he does have 3 bones that go across his chest, but I made them a little bit too big, so he's only gonna have 2 because I'm lazy and I don't want to make another set of them. So it looks good. It looks good. Don't even say anything. I don't need to hear it. I don't need to hear it. I know. Anyway, with that, we could go ahead and pop it in the oven for its final bake. And with him back from the oven and everything survived, as you can see, I added this little back part to the crown here. It's feeling pretty good about it, so we could go ahead and start attaching his appendages. Now, because I'm not gonna be putting it in the oven, I am just gonna be using super glue, and the glue I use is the Gorilla Super Glue Gel. It's really no plus side of using the gel, it's just what I had around, just what I've been using. But with his horns all glued on, we could go ahead and start adding his fingers. I just added a little bit of super glue to the ends of those, and then we stick those onto the hand, and they actually do a pretty dang good job of holding it on. So with that, the sculpt is now complete, and we could go ahead and start the painting process. Now, I always like to start off my sculpts by giving them an initial base coat of their initial base coat colors, and for him, it is mostly green. Just a bunch of different shades of green. He was actually a lot of fun to paint. Despite the fact he's just mostly wearing green, it is a bunch of different shades, and so I gotta do a lot of mixing and stuff. I feel like most of the time when I'm painting a sculpture, it's like 3 colors. So it definitely took me a lot longer, but it was enjoyable the entire time. Now to achieve all these different shades of green, I'm actually just using the same 3 colors, but for all different sections except for the inside of the hood. But all I'm doing is taking these different colors and then adding different amounts of them to get these different shades. But the colors I'm using is Beastie Brown, Goblin Green, and Bone White. The paint that I use is Vallejo, for those of you that care. But with that, his clothes are mostly complete, and all we have to do is the inside of his hood and cloak, and for that I'm going to be using a color called Dark Green. But with his cloak and clothes done, it is time to move on to his horns. I went ahead and mixed up some leather brown and some bone white. Once I got that thoroughly coated and let it completely dry, we could go ahead and add those little stripes that go around by taking that initial color, adding just a little bit of intermediate green. From there, we're gonna go ahead and slide down to his arms. For this, I'm just gonna be using that bone white. Felt like he was appropriate for this section. But with his Skeletrops fingers complete, we can then move up to his teeth using the exact same color, giving him a pearly white smile. And with his teeth all white and bright, we could slide back down to those little bone bits that go across his chest. Once his teeth were completely dry, we could then go back up to the mouth and start adding in his gums. I made this color by mixing up that Beastie Brown and a color called Blood Red. Felt like he was also appropriate for this section. After I was done thoroughly coating them out, we could then slide down to those little tendons on the arm. I'm just gonna be using that exact same color. Moving along, we could go ahead and go into those buttons, and I didn't realize until later that they're actually jewels supposed to be on the front, but it's all right. I just went ahead and painted those with that blood red, and then we can move on to the back section. Now these are going to be metallic, so I am just going to be base coating them with a black base. I feel like it just helps the color to pop a little bit more. And just like those buttons, we are going to be doing the same thing for the crown. So moving up top, we're going to just be giving the crown an initial black base coat. And with that, we have successfully painted almost everything except for his skin. Now his skin is rotting, so it's going to be this kind of putrid, yellowish, green, blue color. I don't really know how to explain it. It's just dead, zombie-like. To achieve this color, I mixed up some leather brown, a little bit of magic blue, and a copious amount of that bone white. But once I had the skin completely coated, I went ahead and let that fully dry before adding the black into the inside of the eyes, just to make sure it doesn't bleed together. And with that, we are finished with the base coats, and honestly guys, I'm digging this. I'm liking it. It's already looking pretty sick, but we could definitely make it cooler. We're gonna go ahead and start things off by painting his crown and buttons. I initially wanted to paint them bronze, but I realized I actually don't have bronze. I have this kind of brownish metallic color that I think is supposed to be bronze, but it looked terrible. So I went ahead and just mixed up some gold into it, and it gave it this kind of cool in-between gold and bronze look. But with that, his crown and buttons are done, so we could go ahead and move on to his horns. As for the horns, we're going to be giving it a dark brown wash. We're going to let it sink down into all those little cracks and details, and then once it sits there for a couple seconds, we're going to take a cloth and wipe it off. I go ahead and do the exact same thing for the other side, and with that we are pretty good with the base coat of those horns. So after letting those fully dry, we could then go over top of those with a dry brushing of that bone white. This is kind of just to blend all those colors together. And just to bring a little bit more life back into those horns, I am going to be doing a very watered down yellow wash over top. And now that his horns are done, we can add some more life to his skin. Even though it is dead, we're going to add some more life to it. For this, I'm going to be making up a very watered down red wash, very reminiscent of the Kool-Aid your grandma used to make when you were a kid. We're really just going to be slapping this on all over the skin, just letting it sink into all those little cracks and details just to make them pop. We're going to go ahead and pause there, move on to the mouth to let the skin fully dry. For the mouth, I'm going to be dry brushing in some of that blood red, and then on top of that going in with a purplish pink to make those gums a little bit more realistic. By now the skin is completely dry, so we could go in with a blue wash just to add a little bit more depth to the skin, and then gradually make it a little bit more purple, adding in just some key spots here. And to add some shadowing, I went ahead and mixed up a dark purple wash going around the sides of the face and the nose. And to finish it off, I mixed up a little bit of a thicker wash to go around the nose just to make it look raw. And to finish everything off, I am going to be doing a dry brushing over top of the entire face using a color called Parchment. I feel like this does a really good job of just setting those colors back and blends it all together, makes it feel like they all belong. And with that, his flesh is looking pretty good, so it's time to move down and start making his bones look a little better. To give a little bit more variation to the bone color, I'm going to be going over top of it with a wash of leather brown. Once I let that fully dry, I can then go over top of it with a beast brown, just really highlighting those joints. Once I slap that in, I kind of just use my fingers to wipe off the paint. I hit some key areas here and there, and with that we have our Skeletrops hands complete, and we can do the little bones on the front. For the green glow on the inside of the eyes, I do a wash of this intermediate green, then I finish it off by adding a small green dot of lime green. And with that, his face and arms are complete, and it's time for the clothes. For this, I'm just going to be keeping it real nice and simple and going over top of it with a black wash. I felt like it didn't need anything else. And with that and a little bit of off-camera detailing, we're onto those JCPenney glamour shots. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and also leave a comment down below of who you would like to see me sculpt next. I'll see you next time.